Welcome to Basementside. I'm your host, Greg Olzerowitz, also known as Deeg. I'm here today with Planetside Outfit Wars champion Madman, who co-led his outfit Bushido Way to gold tier victory just a few days ago. How are you, Madman?
Doing good. I'm having a nice day.
Glad to hear that. I think you've certainly earned it.
I guess so. It's just like it's been a long couple weeks. What can I say? It's been nice
No
to kind
doubt.
of sit back and relax just a little bit.
I'm glad you're getting to do that because you and a lot of the other Bushido Way guys really put a ton of effort into Outfit Wars. I want to talk to you about your journey all the way through Outfit Wars, back from the early kind of alpha testing stuff, all the way up through Bastion, War Assets, Qualification, and of course the contest itself. Um, and in addition to that, we're going to talk about just generally how successful was Escalation and Outfit Wars. What's the kind of hardcore or casual split? What's the approach that different folks are taking to it? How's the community reacting? And of course, where we go from here. Um, so without further ado, let's jump into it. Uh, Man, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and a little bit about how you came to Bushido Way and what Bushido Way is about.
Me, I'm just a regular dude. I like to think, but I spend most of my days in my life as a full-time programmer. I write mostly a lot of Python, and I tend to spend quite a bit of my time as a cloud thing. So, but no. So Bushido Way. It started off, but so Defensive Shades, he started the outfit, and he started it on TR because that's kind of his home calling. And there was roughly about, I think he roughly had about 6 to 12 guys that he got to join it. I think it was a little bit closer to the smaller side of that number. And he was looking to grow his outfit into, a point holding outfit.
And that
And
was Joke, right?
no, that was before.
Oh,
That was before BWAE. So no, joke was something that started in 2015, I believe, maybe 2014. I think it was 2015. It
uh
ran
huh.
for about a year under his influence, and then he went to college. And then he spent 4 years in college before coming back to Planetside.
Gotcha.
And so he came back, thought about running with the existing joke, and then but the outfit um, culture was not the right setting anymore for what he was trying to cultivate. So he set off and started Bushido Way with the intent of making a infantry focused Bushido style. And back then that meant, you know, the only thing you got was your Orion and your med kits, and that's it.
Honorable combat.
Yeah, honorable combat, right?
Right.
You're allowed a little bit of movement. You're allowed to use your knife, your decimator, but no maxes, no bolters,
No
just it was you
shotguns.
were
Very
no
important.
shotguns, very important. Yeah. And which is kind of ironic, which I'm sure I'll talk about in a minute here.
Uh huh.
Um, uh, and uh, and yeah, so that was the foundation of this new little outfit he had started up. And I mean, as always with Planetside, honestly, it takes a certain type of leader, and it takes a little bit of a critical mass to kind of like grow an outfit. So, um, what so what he did is he did what you do. You go and maybe look for people that are unhappy in other outfits, and maybe even look into an outfit merge. So I remember he was looking around trying to find players, and I ran casual ops with Moral Hazard, and we probably got about 2 squads on a good day.
Uh huh.
And and I think I did about three times a week, and I ran ops for those guys for about 2 years. So, but anyways, so the deal was is
How big
I'm
was
kind
Moral
of a cat.
Hazard at this time?
We had roughly there was probably 100 and 20 odd players that were in the outfit. It was still kind of a smaller midfit. Um, it was well known because it kind of has its legacy back to a combination of the old Angel Company, the Night Ravens, and then there's some lore in history how those two kind of and merged together, and then there was 9D uh, Angle Company, and then there was Bloods Angels, which is SNGU, and then
The
well actually
ever
I might have those
evolving
I have those
outfit landscape of Planetside.
yeah it like it really goes far back and you know what's funny, even before all this I ran an outfit in 2013 called uh, MDNS. So it was my outfit. I built it back then. It got to roughly about 150 people strong. Um, and yeah, it was called the Keepers of Madness. Such a
Aha.
I have a knack
With
for
Madman in its
grabbing the
head.
cringe names.
Yeah,
Madman in
yeah.
my
Well, it
head,
makes
you know.
sense.
Yep. And so yeah, it was kind of that was a good outfit. We had a lot of fun. It was in its heyday. It probably was at 3 squads max. Um, it was a lot. It was again. It was just a lot of fun. And I remember I took a I think back then and as always any one man outfit where somebody say take where a leader takes a little bit of a vacation for various reasons, whether it's real life, which was my case. I had a, something drastic changed and I was like dead in the water to these guys because I just simply couldn't play at all. And I
Sure.
remember 9 months later I finally got back to it and it was dead because nobody was there to keep it alive.
Yeah.
And and that's just the way it works. So this outfit that I put 2 or 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears into fell apart because organizationally it was weak, right? When you have a single point of focus.
Right.
So that that was something that kind of got remedied in HCD because it had 13 of me, right? So
Uh-huh.
HCD was a larger group and it was I mean they were all good friends of mine. Some from past days and some more recent and a lot of them I still play with today. Uh, one of them you know quite well, Rug Cutter.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we're good
uh,
friends.
exactly. So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, ATD had its own problems, like when you're leading by quorum, but what it never lacked was a constant, like, it always had a constant leadership, uh, presence. And if anything kind of spelled like a little bit of the minimizing of that outfit was simply just Planetside 2 kind of shrinking for a while there.
Yeah.
Like this game struggled for a good bit, and it kind of really toned us down there. But I mean, not to get into that topic too deeply, but
Yeah, it's a big
um,
topic for sure.
it's a big topic.
So, anyway, eventually HZD and Shades collided. How did
Yep.
that happen?
So I can't remember the exact occurrence, but it was something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm a casual leader, and Shades, I remember fighting you back when you started Joke, and I remember how impressive it was." So, and I was like, a bunch of my guys want to play competitively and more seriously, but I can't do that. I just don't have like the mental discipline to really kind of house all of those call outs specifically, to have all that training in place. Like I can get close, but I just can't get quite all the way there while kind of having fun at the same time.
Right.
So I get about 80% of the way there. I get serious, but then I chill out. So anyway, so the deal is so my deal was him with him at first was like, I don't want to come run an outfit with you. Um and I'm not going to give you stake in mine. So here's what we'll do. We'll just share players, right? Your players will come to my side for my ops and
Uh-huh.
my players will go to your side for your ops.
Huh.
And what it did is it just like for me, I ran one less op a week and so I ran two a week and he ran two a week overlapping. So like mine would be on Wednesdays and Fridays, and his would be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he might have done another one on a Saturday or something like that.
Uh-huh.
and and so it let those players play more, which they'd been wanting to do, and it let them play competitively, which they
Yeah.
had been wanting to do.
Let them get their sweat
And
on a little bit.
yeah, yeah, it kind of put a little law and order into them a little bit, and let them do some of the things that they really wanted to do. Um, and eventually, what happened though is um, the B-Way side of the house just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, and I put more and more and more and time into it, and eventually it became my full-time home,
Right.
right? And like that's just kind of how the transition made. Like as it grew, as it got bigger, as the philosophy behind it, kind of was expanded upon. Uh, it really had a good core, right? It was easy to work with the people. It had a good system in place. It was I don't know, just better organized. Just because from the inception of it, it had a strong leader with a strong ideal behind it, and honestly, Shades did the hard work by setting the tone, and then just keeping up with that is
Is
not
enough.
exactly easier. But it was enough to make it worth it in a sense.
Sure.
We were able to have full ops again. Like in a game that was dead, right? We had full ops. We had large squads. We had these amazing performances that we were doing. We had people that we were training. We were growing within the community. We were growing other aspects of the community, and it was a good thing. And I couldn't not help it per
Right.
se. Like Bushido Way is something that just draws you in.
Yeah, when I approached you guys, and full disclosure to everyone who doesn't know, I'm a part of the BWAE University. I've enrolled, um, and so I had the chance to be embedded with you guys starting back from summer last year. And when I came, the kind of vibe that I got about Bushido Way, about BWAE, Banu on Emerald, is it was kind of like a monastery, like holding on to the last final lost scrolls of knowledge during the dark ages of Planetside. That's kind of what it felt like to me. And
Uh,
I don't know if you think that makes any sense, but that's the vibe I always had back then. And now with escalation coming through, it's really gotten bigger. But yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong about some of that stuff. Um, so a great example is I there's a lot of things that I learned, even after being like a 4 or 5 year old player. Some of like even the most basic one, just simple peeker's advantage. I
right,
remember like I understood like concepts of client side and positioning and all of that stuff, but at the same time, like these guys, it had become a science for them, right? They were like they had it down to a core. They're like, this is exactly how it works, and this is exactly how you use the game mechanics to their fullest, and really kind of set yourself up for success.
sure,
And it was pretty impressive. And I mean, I honestly, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun and being competitive and playing competitive in a somewhat you know side like semi-casual, semi-competitive game.
sure. So in a way, Bushido Way was really perhaps well poised when the first hints of outfit wars started percolating through. The idea
Hmm.
of an organized competition, um, perhaps more well suited to the task than many other Planetside outfits who have been, kind of having they've been logging in every day, but Planetside for a while has been, I think, hard for outfits to get excited about. And a lot of people, it seems like to me, are scrambling to get back into an older, more I'm not sure what the right way to put it would be, but
It'd be a mindset.
Yeah, there was a time where there was a mindset of Planetside where, like, this is a big game that could get bigger. Let's take it seriously and see how far we can push it. And I think a lot of people gave up on that challenge. And in a way, Bushido Way kind of kept the fires burning, and we're ready to hit on this. But that didn't mean it was going to be easy. Um, I'm curious now. So eventually, Moral Hazard, Bushido Way kind of merged together. I know that there's still some independent stuff going on there, but I don't really want to get bogged down in that too much. What I want to talk about is this January when Bushido Way got approached by community members to start testing something called Outfit Wars. At the time, no one knew what it was. How did that look?
Uh, how did it look? You meaning like, how did they approach us,
Yeah, how did
or
that
like
go?
how
What
did
was the
or how did Alpha?
process?
Um, well, we had somebody that is a longtime content creator and a member of the outfit um, come to us, and he basically was like, "You guys are kind of bred and built for what this looks like it should be." So, so I bas I so I this is him talking, me paraphrasing what he was saying. He's like, "So basically, I signed you up,
Uh
and with
huh.
with your consent, of course." And I basically said like, "I know exactly who to bring to this, and it's you guys. So let's do it." And what was interesting, it was there was basically and it's funny, the developers said about it honestly afterwards, is it was a gentleman's agreement. There was a gentleman's agreement,
Right.
no NDAs in place. It was a gentleman's agreement to keep our lips shut about it. And it worked really well, far better than any other NDA that they'd, forcefully tried to put out there. And it was kind of it was kind of nice. Anyways, so I remember we got in, we did testing. Uh, we did have our fair share of complaints to the devs about how they did their tests. Um, it cashed in on a lot of um, spouse tickets, if you know what I mean. A lot of personal
Yes,
life, a lot of personal life tickets,
I know what you mean.
and yeah, so like people, because we would get like 6 and 8 hour notifications, maybe 24 hours at best for the first couple. And that, I mean, that did the slide. We gave them the appropriate feedback, and they were nice enough to give us some 72-hour notices after that. But so I mean, but not a lot of people understand, I think, the fact of the difference between live play, something that's polished, and pre-alpha development grade play. That's a totally different monster, and it wears on. Um, It's and especially when you're manhandling a group of 48 players and you give them two things. They're like not now you not they're not just playing anymore. Now you're asking them to think. You're asking them to provide feedback. You're asking them to take extra time out of their days for all of this stuff. Um, I mean, it's so like the process of providing all of this feedback and coordinating 48 people to do it, um, very very labor intensive.
Right.
Very labor intensive. It was a lot of work. and and we felt that with that. But but the but at the same time, we were kind of excited about simply being able to talk to the devs, honestly. Like,
Right.
as silly as that sounds, there was such a like a we were so starved. We were like the entire player base felt so starved of dev communication at the time that it was almost like all of the players were like they were hungry. They were
Yeah.
hungry to get in there and just to be heard.
Water in the
And
desert. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And people really just kind of ran for that. And so yeah, the first week and a half, people were strong. They cashed in every ticket they had to be a part of it. They gave a wall of feedback. If I were to go back into my feedback thing, there was probably somewhere close to 12, like 11 or 12 pages of feedback on the original Outfit Wars.
Mhm.
And that's no double spaced crap. That's that's all that's packed in Discord messages. So yeah, so people were definitely they wanted it. They wanted it badly. And oh yeah, you got some that's some official that's some pre
Oh, yeah, this is from the alpha
Outfit
test.
Wars footage
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, that's from the
Yeah, I just
outfit
loaded up
test.
while we're
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, yeah, that's some good sight into what it used to look like. A lot more foggy. A little bit it looks like there's snow on everything compared to to the richness that it has now.
Yeah, they really polished
Um,
it up for the final release. Also, the base has changed a lot from the original tests, right?
yeah, we gave them a lot of feedback that that armor was too was it was no there was no infantry at all.
Yeah.
It was you were literally standing on a box in an open field. So I mean, and unfortunately, as much as we wanted, vehicles, as much as we wanted vehicles to be a part of it, we really just you can't get rid of the infantry at all. Like just having no infantry was kind of a game breaker for him, and it just made us not interested.
Right.
At least that's for us, right? We're infantry. Bases are taken by infantry, not by vehicles. At least that's
Yeah.
the motto.
That's part of
Um,
the Bushido Way.
yes,
Infantry focus. Yeah,
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
There's a base right there.
And I'm sure other
Uh,
outfits who were involved, who had more of a vehicle focus, probably had different feedback.
Maybe I felt like a lot of the players involved. Well, I mean, honestly, 80% of the player base is infantry focused, right? So I'm honestly not too surprised that they really kind of retuned it to have a lot of a lot more of an infantry fluent to it. Um, but yeah, so I mean, the outputs from that, it was a little labor intensive for the testers. After 2 weeks, we were done with our closed testing. And then after that, they opened it up to the public. They let the public kind of see what was going on.
Right.
Then they got all
Right.
that. They did all of those. They brought in all of those the media to check it out. And yeah, and things went well. People were really excited for it. And a lot of our like the feedback was heard immediately. By the way, like we submitted our feedback after the first week, and then they had all of the changes posted by the following week. And we were
Right.
in there checking out. They had the new bases in place. They changed how the scoring was done because it used to be kill based.
Right.
And that was not objective
That was
gameplay.
abysmal. Yeah.
And
Wasn't Planetside.
yeah, no, that wasn't Planetside at all. Um, that was a little bit closer to like the elitist side of Planetside a little bit. Maybe I don't know if that's the right way to explain that or not, but yeah, it was not a healthy way to play the game, right?
Yeah.
This Planetside is about taking territory. Like at the final core,
Absolutely.
like it objectively, it's about your KD doesn't matter if you've lost the base in a sense. It's
Yeah.
you got it. You're here to do battle.
That's what makes it different from almost any other online shooter you can play. Right. That's what makes it unique. That's what makes Planetside Planetside. Without that, um, yeah, I mean, I think when I first heard about this in the Discord, before I got to see anything, the idea of an organized set piece show match in Planetside is something I never thought the Planetside studio would do, because it's had a history of saying, "No, we care about the live game. We want you to play the live game. We don't want to take people away from it." And there have been community efforts, a lot of them, to kind of coordinate these kinds of things anyway. And I wondered when I first heard about it, if they were going to try to make something that was similar to what the community has done. But this is Desolation ended up being something completely unique, I think.
I think so. I have a tough time with the whole. I honestly like some of the tactics and the maybe I guess you could say some of the politics that go into a 1v1v1 match.
Uh-huh.
I think it has a lot more flavor. Um, and it's definitely different. So it might not be completely fair, and kind of don't mind that either, right? The map. I don't know if anybody's had looked at the Desolation map, you'll notice that the two front bases aren't linked together. Um,
Mhm.
and that's actually a very strong link when you want to prevent um, double teaming, right? So if one team pushes all the way to your warp gate, they can't jump across
Mhm.
directly and just completely cut you off immediately. They have to go to the center first, which is now closer to the other team, which means
You have to
it
fight
means
off
it
2
gives you
teams
more
at
options.
once instead of just 1.
Yeah, exactly. The map really incentivizes you to not get double teamed. It can happen anyways, and there can be two teams with a vendetta, and that they really want to shut you down. And yeah, you can get into some of those cases where some irrational behavior leads to an unfair match. And
Right.
well, let's be real, it's not exactly irrational. The strongest team is most likely to win, and I think that's kind of one of the most fantastic and fascinating parts about it is not fair. I think
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what makes it a little bit like now all of a sudden I think again I'm thinking some of this is a little bit of thinking of it on my feet now, but
Do it.
essentially it's I mean it in a sense if you stack your team, you'll get focused. The strongest team is the most likely one to lose in an outfit wars, and I I kind of like that a lot. Like one,
Yeah. There's
perception is a
an
thing.
almost subconscious double team, right? If you perceive yourself to be the underdog, even if there's not a literal alliance between the 2 so-called underdog factions, that's something that is easy to have emerge, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of I'd like to play devil's advocate to kind of be a good, give you a good argument, but I kind of feel the same way you do. I think that you can't separate Planetside from politics, and I don't think you should try, almost. I really love a lot of the more, like, objective head-to-head formats that communities come up with, totally a place for that, but I'm not displeased to see this having come out as being asymmetrical and prone to that kinda thing. Um, we saw some pretty lopsided results, and, we saw some pretty close matches. I think that generally, um, I was surprised that there weren't more lopsided matches given the way that the qualification phase kinda panned out.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we saw when it comes to that, we actually saw the all of the major right. So there were three matches that weren't supposed to happen, and by the and the only reason they happened is because people went out of their way to kind of break the rules, and that is T, Recursion, and B-Way. Like all three of those outfits essentially brought on additional members. Uh, well, I not maybe not additional, but they I don't want to say that they brought on additional members for the event, but they definitely well no. Well, we definitely brought in 20 people from Elway. We're like we know there's no way we're going to make the points. So we're going to bring 20 people from our university into the main outfit for the duration of the event,
Right,
and that'll help us make sure we can play in it. And we put in 6 hours a week each.
right.
I'm sorry, 6 hours a day for each person over 5 days straight.
Yeah. Yes,
And
so
yeah,
we should actually back this up to the very start of qualification, right? Because there
okay,
was a
yeah.
point where B-Way had opted out of Outfit Wars
Truth.
because of the way that it was set up. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that decision and what that kind of discussion was at the high level of the outfit.
Yeah, so on day 1, when when we first saw the results drop, um, the original scoring was based on the total score of all of your members in a single hex. And it honestly was an impossible it became an impossible metric to work with, honestly, for an outfit for any of the more organized outfits, which are typically the smaller ones. Uh, they none of them could compete. None of them could get enough members into a hex to take bases anymore. And there was some other scoring that was going on in there well, but like a great example is I think BWAE ended up with 7,000 points, and Sokar's Legion closed it out at 101,000 points.
Yeah, and
Right, we were 100
it's
times
not like BUA
behind them.
wasn't going pretty hard. Like, people were trying, at least at the very start.
No, we tried for the we no, we just played our normal playthrough. We didn't do anything extra because what we immediately saw was an unwinnable qualification match.
Uh,
Like we would have had to put all of the members online for 24 hours straight every day, and on top of that, the old score also promoted um, ghosting lane, even more so than the second one. So
right.
it was basically it encouraged us to if we wanted a base from Sokar, just as an example
Sokar
from
being the leader of Sokar's Legion, who is the biggest outfit on Vanu Emerald and by was the de facto B-Way competition, right? The question
right.
being, can Bushido Way can Bushido Way and its 50 to 100 players defeat Sokar's Legion and its what, thousands? I can't remember how many they have.
Oh, I think you had that a little backwards. Did you say 5,200 Bushido members?
No, 50, oh sorry, 50 to 100. So between 50 and 100, a
Oh,
range.
okay. Yes. 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 Okay. Yeah,
Good call out.
we had 88 active people
Uh-huh.
uh in the last 7 days before the start of
That
the first
includes all the
Outfit Wars.
Bushido Way trainees who opted in to do
That's
battle for
everybody.
Bushido Way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's everybody. And so we basically did the quick math and we saw how fast the bar for SKL was going up, and we're like, nope, we're not doing that to our players. We already we've already we already did all the beta tests, and we're simply not going to beat our players up to just to get them into this ranking. We're just not going to do it to them.
Okay.
It's abuse. It was abuse. It would be literal abuse.
So you're able to
Um,
forecast it right from the start. Like there was no ambiguity. Like, no, they didn't really get this right. It's not really for us as it stands today.
yeah,
That was day
we
one
were
of qualification part one, essentially.
yeah. Shades and I were two dudes on two surfboards looking at a tsunami coming in, and it's like,
It's a beautiful image.
this is gonna be a rough wave to ride.
Uh-huh. All right. So then what
Yeah.
happens next?
Well, I mean, we kind of ignored it for a couple days. We actually had some training. We did a 3-day training uh, with all of our members. Um,
Was that the one
it
that we
was
did with
really
Archie?
that was the one we did with Archie.
Shout
Yep,
out to Archie
and
TV. That man is doing a service for the Planetside community.
yes, he is the dude. He is working very hard,
Clearly. Yeah.
and it's showing. But no, it was very educational. And in fact, we've turned those into our de facto resources for new people coming into the outfit. We asked them to watch at least the first two, if not three, and it kind of brings them up to the minimum level of understanding you need to be in order to be simply competitive and learn faster.
Right.
So, and it's the same training that you've gone through that was taught to you personally, uh, and you being Deeg. Uh, um, but no, yeah. So we did that, and then 3 days later, there was Rel put out that message that was like, looking at these scores, they're not really what we want to see. So we're gonna change it. We're gonna try to have less ghost capping. Which yes, yes, there was less ghost. I mean, there, hold on, how let me explain this correctly. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't ghost capping. It was zerging. He was like, let's
Right.
do less zerging. And
So
but the side product was it meant dispersement. Then it went from zerging to ghost capping. But yes,
right. So there are a number of like I guess you can think of them as degenerate kind of ways to play the game that where didn't create great Planetside, but made for good points. And it seems like there was a shift when Rel and team stepped in to say, "Hey, we're going to make a change where suddenly outfits like Bushido Way, who looked at it and said, "This isn't like we're not like a few hours a day off from this. We're like we need like more days in the week. We need like 10 copies of each member to even hold a candle." To all of a sudden, after those changes, which I think some of the main things that they did, right, was they made it so that only the top X number of outfit members in a hex contributed to base captures. That was a change. They also eliminated some sources of experience from contributing to that score, that were easy to get out of hand. Things like revives, things like ammo resupply, a few other I'm sure I can't remember. And that combination of things shifted the balance of scoring away from bigger outfits that load up a hex and spam to outfits that can slay a lot. You know, if you can put
Yep.
down a lot of dudes with headshots, then suddenly you can take a base, even if there are 4 times the number of some other outfit in the same hex.
Yeah, and I kind of don't know if that's a balanced way to do it either.
Uh huh.
Um, like it's really like B-Way shows up at a base, 10 guys, right? Because that's the metric that they use, and they don't count, and they're the top slayers there,
Uh huh.
right? They outfrag everybody else. They get more points than everybody else, but that's not necessarily all of the work, right? So, I mean, I do understand that the metric that what I'm trying to get at is the metric is more of an encouragement kind of thing. It's encouraging outfits to not put more than one squad on a base.
Uh huh.
So it's encouraging them to spread them out across the line, which I think is a good way to do it, honestly. Um, but at the same time, it's not exactly indicative of who's doing the most work at a base. So VC shows up, they've got oh okay, VCO's not on our side. VCO on purple shows up. They put two squads somewhere, and then B-Way shows up. We put one squad there, but we'll take and let's say we outfrag them. We take the base because we've got more kills than their top 10, but they still did 2/3 of the work,
Right.
right? Or maybe they did half the work and we did half the work, but
Putting bodies
so
down can still be a lot of work. I mean, just
yeah,
bringing guys to a base, and you're right, it isn't just killing. Like in a way, killing is one of the last outcomes of the work you put into a base, right?
yeah. Well, here's a really good example. Sokar's Legion. In the final pointage of the last tally for before we went into it, they ended up at 58,000 points. B-Way had 61,000 points, and but B-Way had killed 50,000 players in that time. Sokar's Legion had killed 110,000 players. They
Huh.
did twice. They killed twice as many people that we had.
Interesting.
So
I
right,
didn't
so
know
there's
that
some
number.
yeah, there's some metrics like that. So who's really doing all the hard work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like so, honestly, if you look at it that way, it's kind of like I don't know, somebody's you're it's almost like you're riding on some coattails in some ways. So I mean, not to take away from my guys, they worked freaking hard, without a doubt. They put in an obscene amount of time and effort and play to
Yeah.
get into
So
this. But
it was like a 5 day
I'm just
blitz, and over the course of the
yep,
5 days, I think that you guys, the leadership, passed out like TeamSpeak badges to people who put in more than 24 hours, more than 48 hours, and more than 72 fucking hours into
we
that
had
into that
yeah we
that
had
blitz.
3 people. Yeah, we had 3 people that put 72 hours in 5 days. It's
I
just
can't even
insane.
imagine, bro.
I mean, they were dedicated. They wanted this. And all right, so let's talk about this a little bit. So when we
Yeah.
we we had an outfit meeting, right? And we're like, we have an opportunity, a very small opportunity, to if we start basically tomorrow, we could possibly participate in Outfit Wars, and we might be able to do it. We might be able to pull it off. Um, and we were upfront with them, like, you guys will never stop playing for the next 5 days. Like all of your spare time, it'll be 100% Planetside.
That's right.
And the vote came back like 47, and with three outfit leaders voting no
Yeah.
because they knew
Yeah, I
knew
think
the
you guys
toll
did
it
that
would take.
wrong.
You know, I voted. Whatever.
Uh,
I was ready. I was ready for the battle. Um, I wanted it. I wanted the battle for sure. But
yeah,
the stress it takes on the players is pretty high. We
yeah.
we knew that going into it though, but our community also likes to sweat, so kind
That's
of
part of the
steady.
fun, to see how far you can push, right? See how far you can take those kind of performance goals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that worked out well. Um, and then we grinded. Essentially, is what it came down. We grinded for 5 days straight. Um, during that 5 days, we had a lot of good things happened. Um, our community really grew stronger together. Um, honestly, it couldn't have happened at a better time given all of the virus issues that we're having across the world and everybody being at home. Like so, honestly, it turned into kind of like this mecca for people to socialize.
Yeah.
And even during the middle of the day, like we had lunch crews running.
Right.
People would be taking their lunches at home. They'd be logging off of work, and they'd be logging on to Planetside for an hour, stuffing their faces with sandwiches, and just getting out there. We had two squads running, 24 people playing over their lunch period every single day for an hour. And I mean, that's serious
Lunch
dedication.
ops. It's got a ring to it.
Lunch, yeah, yeah, lunchtime warrior, man. That's exactly what it is. And yeah, so we scraped we and even with all of this hard work, by the way, it was 90 in-game days
Uh-huh.
is what our finally tally was over those 5 days of play. Um,
Yikes.
we barely made it into the gold bracket with 3,000 past our closest competitor, which was SoCar. And then below them was, I believe, VCats with like 23,000 or 20,000 points,
Yeah.
something like that. So it was literally even with the changes, it was a gigantic just tidal wave that we were running from the entire time.
What's your
It
sense
was
of the way that SOCAR's Legion approached qualification? Did they just play like normal? Did they deliberately do anything different? Do you have any insight into that?
I do know that there was some like memeing per se into like how the point system kind of works. I mean, I do think some people may or may not have focused onto um, people ghost capping a little bit. Like honestly, before the people were probably still there, just playing how they play, like just a casual player sitting on a base, enjoying the environment. None of that hardcore stuff that BWAE does, and they're just and then like and then like one dude comes across the bridge to fight him or something like that, and they're happy with that, and that's their type of. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think some of those guys may have been focused on a little bit as being like targeted for ghost capping,
Sure.
and obviously since SOCAR's 80% of the Vanu population,
Right.
right? They get all the crap for that. And
Big
so
target.
I think
Yeah.
yeah, so I can't really say that they change. Like I think they just have so many different players with so many different play styles that and just the sheer mass that they have, their 24/7 mass, they just simply them existing made them a very tough thing. Now I do know that they still ran their ops, their platoons, and they may have ran a couple extra platoons. Um, time schedules, and I do know on the last day, SOCAR put out the word. They went from 600 unique characters over the first 4 days to 1,300 unique characters logging on, and the last day they
They
yeah
pushed, huh?
they, yeah SOCAR put out the word, and for the last day they really kind of charged forward after us. They really wanted to see if they
That's
could snake the
scary.
gold spot from us. And snake in a good way. Sokar was very very nice about it. He was very very friendly guy. So uh, So yeah. Yeah, we almost didn't make it. We got close, like we actually slipped into 2nd place once on, like, the first
Ooh,
day. Yeah, we worked hard, we were 5,000 ahead, we woke up the next morning, we were 2,000 behind, you
I
know?
remember that. Yeah, and all of a sudden the
Yeah,
reality of, "Oh, shit, we can never stop playing Planetside until this is over." Like,
yeah,
this is fucking real.
yeah, we just signed up for something and nobody wanted to give up.
Yeah.
So it was combination of inspirational and some other stuff. Yeah, it was honestly just thinking back to it's making me tired,
Yeah.
you know?
How exhausting. And then after that ended, there was, like, 4 or 5 days between that and the actual outfit war to do preparation, right?
Yep. Yeah, well, the first thing everybody did was take a break.
Sleep?
Like, yeah, we all slept for 2 days straight. I swear that's what it felt like. Um, and then I think come Wednesday, the squad leaders got together. We started planning a little bit. We hopped on Desolation to kind of look around a little bit, which was tough considering they were doing testing and they kept kicking us off. So the first time we got on was maybe for 10 minutes, and that's all the exposure we got. And then we were able to get the whole outfit on to do a little bit of infantry in one of the donuts because we wanted them to kind of get the feel of what the donuts felt like.
Uh-huh.
Um, and uh, and that was good. That lasted about 20 minutes, and then we all got go to live play. But it was enough. It was enough to get us the basic pictures we needed so we could come up with a plan. Bolters did most of that hard work.
Yeah.
Uh, and
So IV6
and then
Bolters, the force commander of Bushido Way,
yep.
actually within that's a name that hasn't come up yet, but he's the actual mastermind behind the victory, right?
Yes, I think it is safe to say that he is the guy that engineered our victory. He watched the map, he did his due diligence, he applied, the practices that we hone on live, and he knew our capabilities, and he just applied what Bushido Way does best to this map, and he saved us from a complete total. We
Yeah.
almost didn't.
So I was I was part of the reserve crew playing on live. So I think one of the more interesting aspects of this outfit war is there's actually some it's a little bit of a porous layer between the actual people playing the outfit war on Desolation, doing the show match, and everyone else playing on, Esamir, Indar, Emerish, whatever. In that resources in the form of outfit resources can are still flowing from live back to the outfit in Desolation.
Hey,
Is that how it
hey,
works?
real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on, real quick. In this clip here,
Yeah.
Thogar here had just desynced. His internet went to crap. So the first thing we had was Thogar here. His internet exploded. So any moment now, you're gonna watch him drop underneath the map and start teleporting around. He literally was just, and
Oh,
he
there
has the
it
clip.
is.
Yeah, there, yeah. So like the clips on his side was we were all floating in space away from him, while he's popping around and riding on this wild horse. Right?
Oh
You
my
see, I'm watching
god.
him like the comms is just him like I don't understand what's happening. And yeah, that was our opener on the for the tank crew.
Well done,
Uh,
Thogar.
yeah, well done, Thogar. Yeah, he eventually crashed up ahead fully, and yeah, it was just. Whew.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit
Anyway, so
about
back.
that opener. Do you feel comfortable with sharing a little bit about the Bushido Way strategy? Or do you wanna keep that
Um,
more of a
no,
secret?
no, no, it doesn't matter. Honestly, if you were to watch the recursion match, they executed our planned open. So basically, this is where some of the 2v1 stuff comes. We targeted the most what we felt like was our biggest threat, the player base that knew us the best. Right? We fought GSLD multiple times.
Mhm.
We had this profound amount of respect for their capabilities, and we're like, the first thing we need to do is make sure they don't get out of control.
Right.
And
So this match
we
was
pushed.
Bushido Way versus, Guardian Shield for the new
Yep,
conglomerate, that's GSLD, and then, last but definitely not least, AOD, for the Terrans, right?
yep. and so what we act so we pushed both lanes at the same time, and, but with a bias of the armor towards GSLD because we were expecting them to roll a bunch of,
Uh-huh.
and that was just our early expectation, and what happened is instead of us stealing their base, Tack Driver stole ours. So, I mean, it's not it's not like we weren't wrong. We knew that they were gonna be extremely difficult, and, and they showed it to us. I mean, straight up in their opener, they whooped our tails.
The
Like,
map turned very blue at the start.
yeah, it was a very bad looking map for us here, and and it, they really climbed fast, and we just couldn't. We had a lot of trouble recovering, and it like and if you could hear the comms in this video, like they that would reflect like when they're 200 ahead and we had 70 points, and the comms were just like, ah, what is happening? We can't go anywhere. We can't touch anything. We're losing the whole front. What are we gonna do? And
Uh-huh.
you know, it just it just it showed. But we still kept our cool within reason, but it
Mhm.
definitely showed that how our our ineffectiveness was kind of biting us, and or something. Whatever our plan failed. So
Right. So then plan failed, you had to adapt.
we did. We did. So part of that was the infantry team taking the time to recover. So so what happened is we went back, we focused it on our home front bases, we resecured those, and then we pushed up again. And I think probably what really was the nail in the coffin for the other two outfits at this point was they made a crucial mistake, I believe, of fighting each other too long in the same point. And this is the type of mistake that kind of happens for people that play a multi-lane smash. So what'll happen is they don't play the timers, and instead they get themselves into some a long protracted fight.
Right.
Um, and I think and that's what happened. And what it and it was my maybe only a couple minutes, but that's all you need with it. So on this particular map, within 4 minutes, you can take six bases, and that is a fantastic difference,
Yeah, the map
right?
can
You
move a
take your
lot if you're
ex-
moving around it well.
exactly. And that's probably the scariest part about Desolation, just how fast that kind of the tables can.
Uh-huh.
And and so there was two things that happened. First, we gained supreme air dominance. Our air squad is was outrageously powerful. Um, these guys have been playing with us for over a year, and they they all fly a lot. Like it's what they do. Yeah, this is numbers here,
Yep.
and it is yeah, and they're a powerful force to be reckoned with. But so them up in the top, and then they basically started denying air logistics for these other factions by basically keeping all of their air and their warp gates. Simply, it was simply due to good coordination and talent, is all these guys had. They didn't get much support from the ground troops. Um, that said,
Yeah.
the other factions didn't roll out any tanks, so there was no that's kind of an little. Maybe if there was some more armor play, could have played a little bit of a difference. I would argue that it if GSLD decided to roll 12 tanks, 12 sky guards out the front door, the planned effectiveness of our air force probably would have been a little bit.
Right. It would
Not
have been
saying
hard
the
countered a
pilots
little
couldn't.
bit.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had anything to shoot per se.
Uh-huh.
I mean, sure,
Uh-huh.
they could have changed over to different kits, switched over to air to ground stuff. They probably still could have been very effective, but maybe not, this grossly effective. They were good. They were well within their element where they performed the best.
It was a bit of a
So
surprise, wasn't it, to not see Guardian Shield roll out a bunch of vehicles? That's kind of what their that's one of their their strengths, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were going for a surprise tactic in their
Uh-huh.
opener, and that worked very well. They distracted us. Our air force got tied up. We let a bunch of stuff slip through. They stole 4 bases right at the very beginning of the match. Um, their opener was fantastic. Where they probably missed is they probably failed to um, adapt to our strong air force,
Uh-huh.
right? So if they would have adapted and done something a little bit different, it probably would have been a little bit of a different story.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, there's I mean again everything's hindsight 20, right?
Naturally.
We had the air, we had armor out in the field, so I could see their commander going, well, you're asking me to basically take an entire squad or two that's been solely practicing air the last 2 days and now move them into armor where they're not set up for it, they're not prepped for it.
Right.
Like if you were to consider that from the B-way side, like our internal preparation for our players was we every single squad practiced at least 2 hours a day, starting from uh, starting from Thursday until Sunday, right before the match.
Uh-huh.
Right? It was Sunday, right? I think
Saturday.
so. It was Saturday. Okay. Well, so yeah, my I know my armor squad. We practiced Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning,
Uh-huh.
and we spent probably 4 hours the first going through roles, going through responsibilities, getting us organized, doing some live play, getting all of our kits set up, and then doing the then we my squad was a flex squad, so we did the same thing for infantry as well.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
These aren't our regular squads. People are kind of mixed up, so we had to reset roles and responsibilities for that as well. So um, I can definitely see, like, imagine if I took one of my infantry squads, or like imagine if I took Shades' infantry squad, which is solely meant for infantry, and being like, look, the tank play is so crazy on the map right now. You guys need to switch over and adapt. A bunch
Yeah.
of guys that hadn't inserted anything,
Yep.
or
And in a format
like it,
that prioritizes speed, that's death.
yeah, yeah,
I see totally
absolutely,
the point you're making. Yeah, it seems like preparation, not just for a specific way to approach it, but to be ready to flex seems to be extremely important in this format.
yeah. It's definitely a rock paper scissors kind of thing. I think.
Uh-huh.
Um, I I truly believe that there are some tactics that we haven't. Um, Obviously, T opened with air, and they dominated the map.
Talking about
I'm pretty
toxic
they
Zerg surfers, the
Yep.
gold victors on, is it Cobalt? I think it's Cobalt.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, there's a little bit more going on with with that match,
Right.
but basically, like the air,
It's the
I
beauty
I
of
think the
Planetside.
yeah, yeah, and
So many things
well,
going
I
on,
think
so many variables.
I mean, there is a lot, and a lot of it comes down to like how there's a lot of skill involved as well,
Sure.
right? 12 prowlers are extremely scary for pilots,
Mhm.
right? That high rate of fire, the one shot kind of sends an ESF to burning. Um, excuse me. Um, like I could only imagine if there were 12 sharpshooter prowlers out there just knocking ESFs out of the sky one after the next. Man, that would have been a monster to deal with.
Yeah.
Just from a sheer skill perspective.
So
Again,
that's
like I
pretty
could keep going
exciting.
through the
And I think I heard you start to say that there are strategies that we haven't seen yet, which gives me hope
yes,
for future seasons of Outfit Wars that we're going to see not just a static meta where the format is solved, right? But that because of the asymmetrical 1v1v1, uh, and the fact that, vehicles and air and infantry are all a thing, we're going to see rock, paper, scissors where someone's going to try something new. Like it's pretty clear that next time around, outfits are going to have a way to respond to air. Everyone saw the dominance of air this time around, right? And so maybe
yeah,
it counterbalances in a way that's very anti-air focused, and people who get ready to get up in the air maybe aren't going to have success, or maybe there's a reaction to the reaction, and that's competition, baby. That feels like
yep,
esports to me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree, and I mean, also balance change. You
right?
know, who knows what might come from those. Uh,
Right.
but well, I think even the 1v1v1 brings even one more into it, right? Because you could have two sides that focus on air, and then one side that focuses on all of the most powerful anti-air metas in the game.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, you have two factions that need to retool because they're
Right.
completely ineffective,
Right.
or something. Like just imagine looking at this picture right here. If I were to put 12 or 24 sky guards in a circle around all of these around that whole
Uh-huh.
center portion,
Yeah, just to
and
circle
if
the
there
whole
was
middle
no
of the map.
yeah, and just let them rip through whatever was out there, and we could just
That would
I
be
mean,
beautiful.
yeah, I mean they might not be their effectiveness might not last long because that little armor column that's down there below might roll up there and just rip through them all like it's no tomorrow.
Right.
Uh, but our air would get shooken up sure for a minute,
Yep. And then
and it's
the response to that and the response to that.
yeah,
This is
it's an
exciting to
RTS game.
me. This has got
It's an
legs.
RTS game with real people.
Right. Um, I think one of the most amazing things about this whole update, the Bastion, we haven't even talked about the Bastion, but the Bastion is fantastic. War assets. Um, but I think one of the most triumphant things is that this the crown of outfit wars, and just the fact that this seems to be a format that everyone liked playing and everyone liked watching. And
I agree.
I think that obviously they're going to iterate on it. Obviously, they called this Alpha One. They were very careful to call this their Alpha One season. But I think that was hugely important for RPG to get right, and I'm really proud that they did. That's my read on it.
Yeah. What's up? Yeah,
That's
no,
my
yeah,
read on it.
I think you're right on point with that. I think you know, I think it's got I definitely agree with you that it's got legs. Um honestly, the only thing I would like to see is I think I'd like to see more on Desolation. I feel like the map needs a little bit more flair to it, a little maybe some more structure, or like it's got some pretty good stuff built up on it right now, but I think like I'm not quite sure yet what I would like to see, but like it still feels a little desolate. And maybe that's
How
okay.
about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh
I get what you're saying though. You want to see it. You want to see them flesh it out a bit. Like maybe not all the structures need to be bases. Maybe you have some like betweener structures. One of the things that I I think based on what I'm hearing from the community in general, there's obviously room for is um, I don't know. I'm not sure if we need to wait and see what the response is to the emerging air meta, but I have a feeling that a lot of vehicle players or people who like to see a vehicle play were a little let down by the way this played out. That maybe is one of the
I
only negative pieces of feedback I've heard. What do you think?
I think that there were no good vehicle outfits that participated. Like if that sounds right. At least from the matches that I watched.
Uh huh.
Like if you look at all three of the gold ones, the gold matches, which were the ones that were most publicized. Right, it was an infantry outfit versus an infantry outfit and an infantry outfit, right?
Sure.
Like Connery was three infantry outfits. And I
Right.
don't know. I mean, Pigs might have been more more combined arms than
I
the
don't know
other
much
two.
about those guys. They come over from
You
Briggs,
know,
right? That's Pale Tiger's crew.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. But what's interesting is the only armor I saw on that entire match was Recursion.
Uh huh.
The guys known for their infantry play the most.
Right. And
And
and Recursion came out one of the big upsets, I think, in Outfit Wars.
yes,
Everyone was
yes, they did.
surprised at that outcome. So for those who don't know, Recursion, one of the household names of Planetside, um, they are an institution. And if BWAE was a monastery of the old knowledge of being good at Planetside, Recursion certainly was right up there and has been around longer. Um, Everyone expected Recursion to come in roaring into Outfit Wars and to really show us something, but something didn't quite go right for them. I don't
Yeah,
know
I'm
what it
still
was. I
not.
haven't watched that match in detail yet. I did see them get run over by a harasser, which was fucking hilarious.
I mean, that's some good emergent gameplay right there, if I've ever seen.
Beautiful. Yep.
I mean, I would have stood there and just let her run me over, man. Just let the snap the picture right as it happens. Like that would have been
Harasser
great.
roof meta next season, boys.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it would have been great if I would have had like the feed of her running me over, and then I would have sent it to her so she could like post that clip out with it. Just side
Exactly.
by side, getting run over, the cam of you getting ran over, and then you getting ran over. Just the trifecta would have looked pretty cool. I mean, that was a gold moment in that match for sure. But I would like to see this match actually done, with an outfit that prides themselves in armor. Um,
Can you
like,
call anyone out? Who would you like to see step up?
I mean, unfortunately, there's no big outfits that do armor. That's a tough one. Like, um, the smaller outfits. I mean, FedEx would be the most notable one on Emerald for being
Right.
good with their armor play. Um, TG, they get out there, they do it for fun. But there's no real counters to these guys out in live play. Um, Sokar sometimes runs a gigantic Zerg ball of Sunderers. That doesn't really count. But they
Looks
have a
cool
lot of
though.
fun doing it, so it looks cool and it's fun. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's not they're not doing anything wrong. But hold on, my dog's bell. Give me a second. Uh,
No problem.
there you go. I fixed that. Um,
I hear what you're saying, and maybe this is a qualification problem. Um, are armor outfits in a good spot to qualify for outfit wars? And maybe that kind of leads into a larger discussion about it's quite clear that in all this, if outfit wars, the war itself is the best thing that came out of this, the worst thing is obviously the qualification phase. I
oh,
think
without a doubt,
that's
that
gotta
that hurt.
change somehow.
Yeah, that whole thing that hurt people's souls. So that was just
I
that was
heard
tough.
one BWAE player have basically an existential meltdown on TeamSpeak after it was over. I was like,
Oh, yeah. Who was
people are
that?
hurting. Oh, I'm not gonna call him out. Come on.
Okay, okay,
I'll tell you afterwards. Uh,
okay, yeah, 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 yeah. I do remember one person posted in our Discord that basically said, uh, I've been playing this game so much that I had just woke up from a nightmare where Sokar was 2,000 points ahead of us again.
oh no.
Yeah,
The
it
worlds
it
bleed
was really
together.
yeah, it was really a, a terrifying thing.
So how
So
does this get fixed? What do you think?
ah,
Well, first off,
honestly,
what's wrong with it? It obviously just totaling points over a multiple day period is not feasible because humans aren't constructed to play for 5 days straight.
I simply think that it uh, just not be allowed. I think the 80% solution to this is by locking the points to only being collected during a server's prime.
Sure.
I think that's the easiest way to step into it. So and only have it make it a 5 day max, so
Yeah.
that people know that they're participating. And the other thing I would do is I would put a minimum population on a particular map. Like if there aren't at least 600 people playing on a map, qualify it for
Ah.
right.
So maybe we could have like maybe a concise way to wrap up both those ideas is to have outfit wars alerts, and your activity
Yeah,
during that time on that continent is what counts.
I think that would be a pretty good one. Um, I think probably a better idea, or it's a slightly tuned version of it, would be to make these alerts uh, at the same time every day,
Uh huh.
right? Make it so that people log in and they know it exactly. They know that at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, a 60 or 90-minute alert's gonna kick off, and that's where you get your
And it's
point.
game time. Yep.
And it's game time. And there's 30 minutes in between each one. so people can log off and take a break,
Sure.
right? And then they can log back on, and then yeah, sure, you might get people playing 4.5 hours a day, compete in all three, but that's not 6, that's not 15, like
Yeah.
we've had some people doing.
Yes.
You know, it was, the way it was before was toxic by far. So,
Totally.
uh, I think those 2 changes would be enough, honestly, to really kind of balance it out. And by keeping it on the active server during an alert specifically tailored for it, I think that gives you good fights also. Whereas before, before it really encouraged the ghost cap. It really encouraged, point exploitation.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, then it becomes, how do I push the front line during prime
Right.
time? And the other thing I would do is I wouldn't lock. I'd do a better job sharing the level of effort done, I think.
How
Um,
so?
I think I would do something like almost like a top 3 for a base cap or something like that, or bucket the score out
Are you talking about the
some
problem of
way.
outfit ownership? The fact that only one outfit wins a base?
Yeah, it really doesn't share the efforts amongst the other outfits that are there.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a winner take all format. So during the qualification phases we had it, um, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Madman, but I think that um, kills and points you contributed to a base capture totaled up for your outfit whether you won or not. But the thing that winning gets you is it gets you the points per tick as your
yes,
faction retains ownership of that base with your outfit's name on it. And that
yes.
adds up. And it creates some mildly degenerate play where maybe if you see your competition owning a base and it's getting attacked, you don't jump in. You kind of hope that it
Cor-
gets taken by the other faction so that you can jump in and then put your name on it, right?
Yeah, it encourages the behavior. Like, we actively had to dismiss the in-game game mechanics to go defend a friend's base, a friendly
Uh-huh.
outfit's base. Um, it was highly discouraging of any other activity,
Yeah.
and honestly, it made for a bunch of bad politics, bad gameplay. It put a bunch of bad will into the community in between outfits.
Right.
Um, yeah, there's just a lot of nasty stuff that came from it. I hope that
Yeah.
part just next.
So split ownership or maybe an end to ownership. I don't know. Um,
Oh, I think somebody that defends your base should get rewarded with your points for a certain ticks, something like that.
sure. So
Or
n- not just the problem of the initial capture of going from, red to purple or whatever the case is, but also um, if you come in and jump in and defend a base that's held by someone right now on live, if you do that, if you make a heroic effort to defend a base that has another guild, not guild, scary, another outfit's name on it, when you win and push the hordes off, that outfit retains that old outfit's name, whether or not they were there for the defense.
what I really liked what you said a minute ago. I really liked you said when you said expiration.
Uh,
Um, I think what would be quite interesting is if uh the resources were more based off the front line and less based off of everything you capped on the entire continent.
uh huh.
So maybe maybe what you do is, you basically say something along the lines of, this base, you know, BWAE's got half the points, SKL's got half the points. They split the resources 50-50, and then they leave. And over 10 minutes, those scores kind of trickle down and they get less and less and less from it.
Sure.
But maybe make the score kind of drive the resource gain a little bit and the distribution of the resource gain a little bit. And I mean, keep it the way the score is now, but this way, if somebody shows up and defends the base and they generate a bunch of score there, then all of a sudden they start collecting a selected portion of the resources generated just for their time of being there.
Yeah.
And I think something along those lines, a little bit more like bucketed scoring with decay times. is probably a good way to do it, I think.
Sounds fair, but it also sounds complicated.
Not really. Not really. From a software perspective, you literally have one number per outfit, and all of the players there with the same tag, they added that same number, and then it just has a standard percentage degeneration of the total,
But
right?
how
So
do you
you
show
could
that
just
to the
say like,
player? How do you make the player understand that? How do you present it?
you would base. I think it might be you might be able to do it with a base ownership graph, maybe. Um, some maybe like a second tab off the leaderboard, and you would just it'd be like you would hit it, and it would just be like the current outfit scoring for there, and then maybe some distribution. I don't know. Maybe that's too data analytics of me.
I mean,
Maybe there's
it's
a stupid simple way to display
I
that.
get what you're saying, man. I come at it from the same angle you do. I work in software. But I know that when you talk about introducing a lot of new UI elements that display complicated data and you're asking a player to click through multiple times to understand what impact their effort had on scoring and on the map, I don't know if that's a great deal for the average
I mean,
Planetside
just
Outfit Wars
just
competitor.
just do it the way it's. Maybe don't show them anything. Then just show it right on the Outfit Wars page. Just be like they can go into their Outfit Wars page and they can just show their current uptick rate.
Sure,
Like you are currently earning 55 points per tick right now.
sure.
And that's
And
it.
here are
And
the
then they'll go
bases that
take
are
a base.
contributing to it, and here's their age, how long ago they were captured or whatever.
You might not even need to show that much, honestly.
Well, if you're
Um,
having a decay system where those ticks diminish over 30 minutes or 3 hours or whatever, I get what you're driving for, and if we can segregate the qualification gameplay from normal PlanetSide gameplay, where there is kind of some outfit pride to seeing your name on a base. I think that's a good thing that PlanetSide does. I don't want that to go away, but maybe it causes problems with qualification, and we can put that ownership on pause while this is happening.
maybe I mean maybe instead of calling it base ownership, calling it the number one contributor instead. Like change the verbiage to show that it's not you don't own this base. It's not yours. It's owned by your faction,
Yeah.
and you're just a contributor of it instead. Like
Maybe when
you
you
know,
get points on a base capture, you get stonks, and then your stonks go through the roof.
yes,
I love that meme.
yes.
One of my
Oh
favorites.
my,
Yeah.
I don't
Okay. Well,
know.
there are probably 1,500 different ways to skin a cat. I'm betting RPG already has a well conceived solution in their back pocket um, for how to approach this because I don't think anyone said anything nice at all about the qualification phase. It created bad planet side. It wore people out, made people not want to play the game anymore. Um, so hopefully next time around we get it in a format that gets people that catalyzes people and gets them excited rather than makes them feel like all the juice has been squeezed out of them.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I don't like my juice getting squeezed out.
Yeah, unless it's well, let's not go
No,
there.
no, we're done. Never mind.
uh, so yeah, in general, I mean, how do you feel about escalation as a whole? How has escalation gone for Rogue Planet games and Planetside?
Um, I'd say I'd say it went pretty dang well. Um, I would definitely say that it's got some room to grow. I think it's got some pretty good legs. I think the current developer group kind of they've had the best handle on their community that they've had since 4 years ago at least.
Agreed.
Um, Honestly, I love the fact that Andy puts out a post every week right now, or
Yeah,
twice a week, or 3 times. That is the healthiest thing. Especially when you have games like Star Citizen with how much well, they have a lot of other bad press, but what they do have is their developers are out there just dumping information. Like you can't help but just show up and just gobble it all up,
yeah,
right? If anything, players love more than anything is just talking to the developers of the game they're most passionate about,
right.
right? What's next? What can we do about it? Maybe my idea is a good idea. It builds passion, and they really like that engagement. So I think the dev team is finally operating under a sustainable model. right? If they can keep the players engaged, if they can keep this content coming, um, I think they're set up for a good future. Uh, they definitely brought a dead game back alive with a lot of good press. And when was the last time you saw over 100 viewers on a Twitch stream for Daybreak? And before
Construction,
this,
maybe?
yeah, maybe, but not even really, right?
I don't
Outfit
remember.
Wars, they had like 2,300 people,
Yeah,
2,500 people watching their main stream for Outfit Wars release day,
yeah,
and it was impressive, right? And
absolutely.
then hitting 15,000 total concurrent players at one time, again impressive. So all I say is DBG, ride the wave, fix the pain point, polish, and then focus on what's
There it is. You heard it from Madman, co-leader of Bushido Way. I think it's a good place to end it, my friend. Anything else you
yeah.
you want to add?
Uh, Nothing more than I'm really thankful for my community. They're the only thing that keeps me going, right? Without all those good people, just kind of just being good people, I definitely wouldn't put in the effort that I put in. So thank you.
There it is. Okay. Now, I know, Madman, you're not really much of a social media type, but is there anything you want to promote? How can people find Bushido Way if they're interested in learning more about it?
That would be our Discord, and that is most likely the best way,
Okay.
by using a Discord.
Okay, I will drop a link to the Discord here in the description. This is going to end up on YouTube and a few other places, so that'll be there. Also, if
Okay.
you're watching the Twitch VOD, you should see Bushido Way's website, which I think might have a link to the Discord.
I
Um,
actually, yeah, that does. That would be actually a really good one.
okay, indirect way to get there, and it has some information about what BWAE is about, and what makes him so awesome. So yeah, just signing off. Thanks, Madman. Once again, my name is Deeg. I'm the host of this basement side, whatever the heck you call this. We do long form conversations about games and gamers, and Planetside is one of my favorite to talk about. We're on Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, and a few other places. If you just search for Basementside or my name, Deeg. And that's all we got for
All right.
tonight. From our basement to yours, have a good night.
Good night.